Hello, everyone. We want to welcome you to our session today on making digital transformation for planning and reporting easy and practical. Joining us today is Richard Pedigo from Kumo, and we are excited to have such a fantastic turnout today. Before I pass it over to Richard to cover on this hot topic, I would like to remind you that this session is being recorded and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library for you to review and share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type them into the questions box. We will get them answered during our Q&A session time at the end of our webinar. So now I will pass it on to Richard to kick off our presentation.
Very much, Angie, and good morning, everyone. We have a very, very nice crowd here today. My name is Rick Pedigo, as you pointed out, and I will be giving a presentation today on digital transformation for planning and reporting and how to make it very easy and practical. Over the past few months, I've been asked several times to discuss how fully integrating planning and reporting into an automated digital transformation process would happen, would improve the processes. And the reason most of the people are asking is that they realize that it's difficult, if not impossible, to build a really effective automated processing using the disparate standalone solutions and siloed data that they have in their environments today. So having said that, what I'd like to do is give a short presentation, talk about digital transformation and the problems that our customers and prospects are facing today, and then go directly into a demonstration of Kumo. So the digital transformation process is really all about automating the reporting, forecasting, budgeting, and reducing the amount of time people have to spend on repetitive tasks and spend more time on the outcome of the process and running the business. And being able ultimately to arrive at an environment where you're making data-driven decisions all the way from the executive boardroom all the way down to getting information, actionable information to people who need it to do their jobs more effectively. So as we go through the process, I want to make sure that it's really clear that self-service and flexible and easy to use solution is a must-have as part of the environment, because we're trying to take away a lot of these laborious processes and being able to drive financial and operational information utilization across the entire organization, not just to some people. So having said that, let's take a look at some of the challenges that people face today. And they have way too many data sources. And they have too many versions of the truth. When I talk to various executives at companies, they'll tell me that the information that they have in reports, they don't trust. It's not reliable because they look at one particular system. For instance, it might say revenue is this. Another system will say it's a different number. And they have too many legacy reporting products, products that are no longer being supported. For instance, if you look at Microsoft and over the past few years, the number of products that they've had and discontinued, we have Enterprise Reporter, we have FRX and Forecaster. Management Reporter has been announced a couple of years ago that no additional enhancements are going to be made, only bug fixes. But one of the really important things is that none of these products actually are of the same architecture, same user paradigm. And ultimately, what everybody ends up doing is exporting data into Excel. Additionally, because of the siloed data, there is not a single version of the truth, which is what everyone wants. They want to have a solid data, centralized data repository where they can go in and know that the information they have is correct and current. They want to be able to make it fast and easy to do analysis and drill down and not have to go back and ask people for additional information. And they want to capitalize on the skills that they have, for instance, Excel and Office, and be able to present the information in a web or in a mobile device. So the outcomes of that is that you will be significantly reducing the burden on finance and IT to produce reports, do ad hoc analysis, and you're going to reduce a lot of errors. Oftentimes people are sending around Excel spreadsheets, for instance, doing forecasting or budgeting, and information gets entered incorrectly, that has to be mashed up, links are broken. It's a process that really requires a lot of manual intervention. And overall, it's very, very difficult to do things like rolling forecast or increase the budget cycle throughout the year. Why is that? As I pointed out, we have a lot of different products that are out there. You have siloed data coming in from numerous systems. You don't want just general ledger data, but people want to be able to look at the sub-accounts, be able to drill down, see transactional data, reach across multiple systems. And then once all this is done, how do you get it out to the user in a timely fashion? In today's world, that's generally sending it out to maybe a file share or SharePoint or emailing it. And in reality, once it's emailed, then you allow security over the distribution of that data. So if you look at a corporate performance management suite, which I'm going to show you which Kumo is, you'll see that it solves a myriad of these issues. Number one, having a data warehouse where you can bring in data from virtually any source. Having data coming in from a variety of solutions or a variety of systems, you can also have the data be any level of detail that you want. And you'll be able to operate in a single environment. You won't have to use multiple tools. And the presentation layer of the information out to the user is providing people web access through the web portal, whether it's on premise or in the cloud, and being able to see it on any device that can connect to the internet under full security. So let's take a look at Kumo and look at how you can digitally transform your processes and operations and make life significantly better. Where I am right now is in our demo system. And what we've done is we have constructed what might be a sample landing page for an end user. So as an end user would log in, this potentially could be an example of a landing page. Over on the left-hand side, you would see all the various activities or various areas that they would be able to have access to. On this page, you definitely would have the ability to go in and change the period. You'd be able to look at situations of where this data is coming from. You'd be able to have dynamic dashboards and graphs to where you can drill down and take a look at specific information. You would also have, let me refresh this. You would also have the opportunity to, so we go in and drill down. You also have the opportunity to have budgets with workflow. And so here's an example of a workflow, and what we're going to be looking at later when we get into planning is the department will be Olympics and Pat Allen. And you'll see over here that you can also add notes. So for Pat, it says, please see the notes at the input form. And the fact that it is not started, but it's also due tomorrow. So you get a lot of really valuable information coming from a single sheet. So let's start out by looking at some dashboards. Graphical representation of data is very, very important. There's a lot of products in the market today, like Power BI, Tableau, Click, that are very powerful tools that can also be used with Kumo if you wish to use any of those products and connect it to the data warehouse, which is the SQL Analysis Services database. But all of these examples are coming out of the Kumo graphics design tool. And so it gives you an example of some of the information as it relates to ability to drill down, take a look at a variety of functions and areas. You could also come in and have charts and graphs where you can drill through. So you're not just restricted to the information that is contained in the dashboard, but you can drill through to underlying information, in this case, the income statement. Once I'm in the income statement, this is not a static report, it's dynamic. And so now I'm able to look at actual data, budget data, variance. I can look out on the actual. I can drill down to transactional information, in this case, as it relates to labor for my various organizations and departments. I can sort this. I can slice and dice it in any way that I wish, and gives me a pivot table type of representation. So it gives me a lot of analysis capabilities in the area right from a dashboard. I also have the capability to use a variety of types of dashboards, heat maps, for instance, showing my example of where things might be. Let's go to bike sales. I want to go there first. And the reason I show bike sales is that it really shows a lot of information. I've got tabular information over here on bikes and components. I have information as it relates to my various locations as well as my products. I can drill down and look at a location and see where the various stores are. I can take a look at the types of bikes that are being sold. I've got more road bikes than mountain bikes. I can look at the types of mountain bikes. So any information that you would want to see in a graphical format, I can do a presentation, as well as the tabular information as it relates to the product that I would be selling. So these are just some examples of dashboards, and later on I'll show you just how simple it is to actually create a dashboard. Let's take a look now at some financial reports. Kumo, as I'm going to be demonstrating, is an Excel add-in. So what I am showing here today is a report format, an income statement that has been designed using Excel, but then published out to the Kumo system and accessed via a web portal for an end user. So now this end user can see this information 24/7 anywhere on the planet under full security, where they have access to the internet on any device. It gives me the capability to drill down and see information. It gives me the capability to look at other information as it relates to my operations. As I pointed out, we have it's dynamic, so I can look at information here. And besides doing a drill down, I can also drill through and really analyze the specific contents of a cell. So let's look here. So here we have a budget variance. Our budget was 456. Our actual is 467. So let's interrogate that cell and just determine in more detail exactly where and why that information and where that variance is. So I can come in here and I can look at budget variance. I can expand out my labor expense for my US operations, which I'm responsible for. And now I can go in and start interrogating each one of the offices to determine precisely where my problem lies. And I see that in my Northwest, I have my biggest variance because my salary is 4,500 over for the month of May. So I could set up a meeting, go in, find out why that is. Do we need to make a budget adjustment, or just precisely what the problem is? But right from a report, where before all you had was, yes, I have a variance, now I was able to really deep dive and get down into what we call self-guided analytics to find out the issue. I also, because I'm in Excel, I can define and design reports in any way that I want. And additionally, I can add comments. So like leave a comment here. And when I push OK, that goes in. When I update it, this is now a permanent comment that has been entered for that particular line item. I can also use, since I'm in Excel, I can use Excel graphics. Here I have KPIs, and I can use conditional formatting. That's something you can't do using Management Reporter. I also have the capability to show a lot of information because I've got current month, current year, year-to-date budget variance, because all of this information is coming in from the data warehouse. So I can have multiple years worth of information. I'm not restricted as to any one particular date or department or organization. So without having to have multiple tabs, I can really analyze the information and get exactly what I need presented to me without having to go back and ask a lot of additional questions. Here's an income by month. So as you can see, all your traditional reports and types of information that a person would need from a financial reporting capability are fully supported by Kumo. Additionally, we have the ability to do planning. As I pointed out, I was going to be showing a planning, an income, excuse me, an input sheet for Olympic. And so here is an example for an input sheet for payroll planning. I have one for sales volume, and I can also consolidate a variety of input forms into a single presentation. So here I have my sales forecast combined with my expense forecast and combined with my salary planning. So let's take a look at how this might all come together. Here I'm going to be forecasting by units. So with my phone, I can come in and say that I'm going to sell 12,000 of these phones over the course of this reporting period, which is a year. And now I know, because I'm pulling in information as to the revenue driven by that, what the price point is on an individual unit, what my cost is for the units, as well as what my gross profit might be. So I could go through and say, with this area, we're going to have a sale in November and December, and we're expecting to sell 6,000 units. I pick my spreading method, which in this case I'll pick as even. I update that, and as you can see, I'm going through my sales forecast. It's automatically updating my revenue and my cost structures and my profit margin. And so as a person responsible for entering this information, I would just fill this out, and when I am done, I can go back, or I can leave it as a work in progress. But now you'll see that it's coming back and showing everything, with including what my total revenue number. I still have a variance of $3 million. So I need to go back and finish my forecast to at least make my estimated quota. When I come down and look at expenses, one of the things, if you recall, on the original worksheet, we had a comment that said use last year's actuals for this particular expense. So now I'm coming back over. I will use last year's actuals and open this up, and you can see that my spreading methods are set up here. You can set any type of spreading method that you want, but it said use last year's actuals. So I've got $45,000 that came in from last year's actuals that I can now use to budget across this year. So with my local advertising, let's say that I'm going to be spending $12,000 on advertising. And since I want to spread it based on last year's actuals, Kumo will actually go out and calculate the correct spread by month as to how I spent it last year. I can come in and say on my conference advertising or my telephone here that I'm going to spend 18,000, and I can do the same thing, work through all of my actuals. It will correctly calculate what my estimated spend is going to be and show me how much I have left to spend. I also have the opportunity to come in and, like, for instance, look at a training company to where now I've got quarterly training for my employees. And so I'm going to be budgeting 24,000 for that. It will come in and properly allocate it by the spreading method of quarterly, evenly across the year, to where I get $6,000 a quarter for my spend. I can come in and do something here that is just for a single month or multiple months. I can come in and say I'm going to spend $2,000 here, update it, and it will just come in and say, fine, for that particular month, you are now authorized to spend the $2,000, and you can see that it's decrementing the amount left that I have on the spend. So when I'm done, or I can leave it at work in progress, I will be entering in all my expenses, and you'll notice that back in the workflow, it came in and it now changed it from not started to work in progress. Let's take a look at doing some salary planning. So I would come in here, I would add look at my salary, look at my FTEs that I have, the positions that I have open, and I can enter the information in a number of ways. So let's first take a look as entering it as an FTE. So I know that Mike is going to be an FTE for the entire year, so I can just come in and make that a value for the FTE, update Mike, and it will come in and properly allocate all of his cost of employment, and it will also allocate his cost across multiple departments. Very easy to do allocations within Kumo. I could do it differently. I could come in for Kim and I could enter the salary manually. So with Kim, I could come in and enter the salary as 140,000, and it will properly spread that across the various periods, and it will also update the information below. I could also come in and say with Kim, I want to give Kim a bonus. She's been doing a great job. So at the end of the year, Kim's going to get a $2,000 bonus. I can put that in, and it will show that her total compensation has now been adjusted to 142. I could also come back and say with Kim, not only is she doing a great job, but starting in January, I'm going to budget a 10% pay increase for Kim, up by a percentage of. And so now, when I go through for my planning purposes, I now have given Kim a bonus. I don't want to do that. I've now given Kim a bonus. I've given her a raise in January, and the total compensation for the year is budgeted at 149. I also have these other positions that are open, for instance, the freight manager. Now, the freight manager, I am not going to plan on hiring until the new year. So I'll just put the person in here as an FTE starting mid-year, update that. And Kumo knows that it's smart enough to take that salary and allocate it appropriately. so that my total cost for planning is 25,000, even though I have authorized salary of 50. So as you can see, I go through, I fill out my payroll planning for everyone, and everything gets allocated across all of the other departments, and all their total cost of employment is calculated. So now when I am done, it updates the entire sheet. And now if I have completed my input, I would come over here and I would select submitted. What this does is it locks out the spreadsheet from any additional information, sends notification to the budget manager that my part or my budget for my department is complete, and then it can go through the approval cycle. If it's accepted, it would come back as accepted and be locked down. If it's rejected, I would be notified. Notes can put in the columns as to why various things have been rejected. And I would go through editing and updating the form and then submit it again. You can also have unlimited number of versions of the forecast and budget input forms. We have several of our companies, our customers that do rolling forecast and 12-month rolling forecast, 18-month rolling forecast, multiple forecasts per year, quarterly, semi-annually. So anything that a person would be able to or any type of version of the budget that a person would need, we would be able to support. So what I've shown you today is I've shown you dashboards. I've shown you financial reporting. I've shown you budget and planning. So what I want to do now is I want to actually take you through the steps of creating a Kumo report. As I said, we are an Excel add-in. I happen to be in Office 365, and so you'll see that everything here is Office 365 Excel, and the Kumo add-in now gives me this additional functionality. I've already logged in, which connects Excel to Kumo. And so when I go out and browse, what I'm doing is I'm going to come out to the Kumo system, and I'm now in design mode, and I'm going to actually set up the data that I wish to use for creating a report. So I pick my data source, I pick my company, and I pick my department, which is finance. So now I have here what we call the palette or the grid to where I am going to drag and drop various items. So here I have my measures and my dimensions onto this palette. So for here, I want to open it up. I'm going to drag and drop fiscal year as a drop down to my slicers. I'm going to put department, organization, and scenario. For my periods, I want to pick 2006. I'm now going to drag my natural accounts into the rows, and I'm going to put month of year in the column headings. Now, I am in our cloud-based demo system, and I just want to show you how fast Kumo is, because I'm just working in a typical example of a cloud instance. So here I can go in, I can expand out my operating expenses, I can look at my sub-accounts, I can rearrange my net income to where now it's now at the bottom, which is the way that I may wish to have it. So now I have picked the information that I want to work with, and now this is where the magic happens. I'm going to send this to Excel, which means that I have now just made Excel totally database driven. So now when this particular workbook opens up, I now have the same information that I had when I was in inside Kumo in the web instance. So now I'm going to expand the information. I'm just going to do some simple editing to show you some examples of how this might work for you. But I think you'll get the idea that we have a very fully functional system to where I would be able to use any Excel functionality and be able to create my reports. So here I have my all the data. If I wish to do any operations on this data, I could. I can come in and I'm going to create a title. So this will be sample report. What do I have? I'll center it, I'll bold it, I'll increase the font size. I could create another tab if I wanted to do that. So however I want to set this up, I'm in Excel, so I can do anything that I wish. So let's go back to Kumo. So let's say that I now have the report set up precisely the way that I want it, and now I am going to publish the report out to Kumo so that users through the web portal would be able to access it. I can publish it public, which means that every authorized user of Kumo would have accessibility to this report. I can publish it private. If I publish it private, I can send it to a person, a department, or a group. But before I publish it, I had told you I wanted to show you how simple it is to create a graphical representation of data using the Kumo graphics design tool. So here I am going to go in and select the same department that I did before, which was the finance department. I'm going to open that up, and you'll notice now that the user paradigm is exactly the same. I have now my measures and my dimensions. I can come in and expand the information. So I'm going to represent the data exactly as I had in the report. So I'm going to bring up fiscal year. I'm going to bring up department, organization, scenario as my drop downs. I'm going to bring over my natural accounts as my rows. I'm going to then bring in my month of year as my columns. Now I have a graphical representation of the same data that I had in the report. And now, by design and just Kumo functionality, everything is interactive and dynamic. So now I can drill down and look at this information. So now once I have this report, I have this dashboard set up, I can publish it out to users. But let's now go out and publish the report. So I want to publish the report. It's now going out to the Kumo instance, and it's going to present to me the report as I had designed it in Kumo. So now I can come in, I can just change I don't have to design or run a new report to look at what my budget is. I can look at my budget variance, come back up to actuals. On salary, I can go in and drill down, just as I did in the sample reports that I created. I didn't have to do anything specific to make these drill downs happen. It's part of the natural capabilities and functionality of Kumo. You'll notice that I'm also reporting in multiple currencies in this example. I can do currency conversion. So now I have the report, and it is exactly the way I want it, and a person will be able to, through the web portal, be able to access this report under full security. So what have I done? Well, I showed you a lot of examples of Kumo with dashboards and financial reporting and planning. I showed you how I could go in and select data that I wanted to work with and be able to then send that to Excel, Once in Excel, I showed you how I could format the data. Again, it was just a simple report, but you can use any Excel formula that you wish to operate on this data. I then published the report, and it came back out to the report represented in an HTML5 format and accessible 24/7 through a web browser. So let's go back to the presentation and take a look at the Kumo architecture. Kumo as a system, as I pointed out, we have the data warehouse. So any information you would desire to bring into the data warehouse, any kind of information coming from systems, coming from Google Analytics, spreadsheets, the cloud, sales information, payroll, whatever it might be, we can set up to where it is, in fact, automatically updated and kept current within your system. Kumo as a product is the same product running in the cloud, which is the Microsoft Azure cloud, or on your premise and sitting on your internet server behind your firewall. I showed you the integration with Excel, how seamless you can go through and pick the data you want to work with, operate on that data in Excel as a design tool, and then publish that data back out to Kumo in the web. What I didn't show you is also the fact that we're fully integrated with Word and PowerPoint. So the output that you have designed can now be included in a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation. So this might be an end-of-month board book, a executive briefing book, information that's going out to other people in other departments. Perhaps you have multiple locations and you want to send out reports, Word documents to department heads. So all of that can be done, and it's automatically and dynamically linked back to Kumo. So once you have these set up and it needs to be refreshed at the reporting period, all you have to do is hit refresh within the document and it will bring in the current content. So no longer do you have to cut and paste, run a bunch of different reports, bring things in, burn the midnight oil the day before they're all due, and now you can highly automate this. And so this is what we're really talking about from a digital transformation. All of these processes are now highly automated, making you more efficient, and the fact that the information is dynamic and can be presented to a user via a web browser. And there's no restriction as to the kind of information that you can design or report on. So when we look at what we call the digital transformation value curve, today with tools that you have, you can go in on a limited basis and look at your systems, perhaps one at a time, and figure out what happened. But the next question is, with the results that you figure out, what are you going to do? So what? What is the impact on the company? What if sales were really up for a particular period? Do you have the capability to fulfill those sales? Are you able to identify your best customers to make sure that you're not short shipping them product? What if the situation is such that you now need to make adjustments on your purchasing and inventory control to adjust to your product because it's really taking off in the market? And what's it going to look like next? So you might want to go back in, reforecast, rebudget. These are all difficult tasks to do if you don't have a corporate performance management suite like Kumo. And all of this is capable of being done within the fully integrated solution. Also within your company, business users today are getting information, specific information that they need, not always exactly what they need, because they're having to come back and ask a lot of questions about what they're being presented. But with Kumo, you're now able to provide them with additional capabilities like drill down, slice and dice, graphical information, not just Excel spreadsheets. But you also have within your company, most likely, people that are doing more advanced analytics, more advanced users, people that are doing strategic planning for multiple years out, people that are perhaps looking at buying a company, adding a new product line, doing some very specific things as it relates to maybe your company is planning an IPO. Whatever it might be, you may not have these specific titles in your company, but I can guarantee you with almost 100% certainty that there are people that have these needs. And it's all based on the availability of data sitting in this data warehouse, which is bringing in and updating all the information that you need. So what's the end goal? Well, the end goal is to really drive financial and operational information utilization across the entire organization. We want to get the right information to the right people at the right time so that they can take action. And what does this end result mean? That now you're able to make data-driven decisions on real information, real-time information that is going to be spread across the entire company that people can make informed decisions on, that they are able to access this information through a web browser and be able to design the templates and the report formats with tools that they already know, specifically Excel, incorporating it in Office and Word, and being able to do it in lightning speed. I think I showed you in the demonstration how fast Kumo is, and it's based upon the architecture of the system and the design of the data warehouse using SQL analysis services. We're not a verticalized product. We have customers across virtually any industry and any size. We have users that are 1 or 2 users, small organizations, all the way up to multinational corporations like DHL, who have over 2,000 users in the web version of the system, doing consolidated financials, forecasting, budgeting, currency conversion with 16 different currency on their global operations. So we're a company or a product that can be perfect for any size organization. We also have some great things that people have said about us. This company is a sampling company, and the CFO came from a very large organization that happened to use Hyperion, which is a very, very expensive, cumbersome product. And he said he's getting everything that he needs from our system at about 60% of the savings, and spending far fewer hours per year on getting the information out. While logistics is putting budgeting down in the individual department heads, which they've never been able to do before. Liberty Tax Service, we replaced one of our competitive products there, or competitors' products there, because they were running their month-end financials and consolidations, and it was taking 2.5 hours to get that information processed. Now with Kumo, it's taking less than 30 seconds. And Sizzling Platter, this is a quote I really, really love. They have franchises all over the nation, over 500, things like Pizza Hut and Burger King and Red Robin, and they're now able to run each one of these franchise locations as an independent business unit, operating it as a profit center, and being able to get great visibility and far better information and more accurate information on the individual operations of their business. But with Kumo, the sky's the limit. So we also have been analyzed and by lots of companies, and one is BARC, which is the world's largest business intelligence survey. They just published the 2019, where again we were top ranked in 20 different categories, and really important categories: business benefit, price to value, product satisfaction, vendor satisfaction, cloud and mobile completeness. And if you'd like to get a copy of this report, you can go out to Kumo and register, and we'll send you the complete report. It's a very, very complete and interesting report, and it'll give you a lot of insight into a variety of products and some very important things you might want to take into consideration when selecting a corporate performance management suite. So From today's presentation, I hope that you see that we can provide a flexible and easy solution to your reporting and planning needs, and that we can transform these manual and really laborious processes into an fully automated reporting, forecasting, and budgeting solution, all based on a data warehouse with unlimited data coming in from unlimited sources, and that it's a fully integrated suite. It's not modules, it's not just reporting or just planning or just data visualization, but you get it all in one, fully integrated for everything that you need in a single solution. We also have a special offer going between now and the end of the year, that if you would be interested in doing a pilot of the Kumo system, we're offering a 50% discount until December 31. And to receive this discount, all you need to do is contact your Innovia account executive and schedule a demonstration. To get additional information about the product and our customers and anything you really want to know, please visit www.kumo.com. I want to thank you very much for spending time with me today. I appreciate your investment, and I look forward to speaking with you at some time in the future and setting up a demo. Thank you very much, and Angie, I'll turn this back over to you. Bye.
All right, thank you, Richard, for presenting today. It appears we don't have any questions for you. Please feel free to contact us or the team at Kumo if you have any additional questions, or you can contact your account manager as well. And if you're watching on demand, we appreciate you attending, and we just want to let you know that we do have some future webinars coming up. Next Tuesday, November 12th, we have Sana Commerce presenting on 5 reasons you need e-commerce built for Microsoft Dynamics Nav and Dynamics 365 Business Central. And on November 14th, we have Vertical Leap Software presenting on Need a Spike in Your Cash Flow? AR and Collection Manager can help. And check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's innovia.com/events. And we also want to mention our new podcast. It's called the Innovia Conversation. You can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So check out the podcast selection and subscribe so you get notified when the new episodes air. All right, well, thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone.